Hey, God bless you, everybody. Not going to be on here too long. I just want to quickly go on here and tell you what the number one means if you're seeing the number one or God is communicating to you somehow, giving you an emphasis on the number one. I'm not speaking about like the triple numbers, but I'm talking about the number one. I had a dream, and I'm not going to refer too much to the dream. Every now and then I might. But just for the sake of time, I'm just going to tell you what the number one means if you're seeing it, say in your dream or your waking hours, or somehow God is just communicating to you the number one. There's a couple of different reasons why you might be seeing it. And this is not an exhaustive list at all. But I will say this is a prophetic, biblical based view of the number one. So like I always say, you got to make sure that you're not out there. If you are somebody that is following the Lord, following Jesus, the Holy Spirit, then you got to make sure that when you look up these interpretations, you're not getting on something that's, the occult. So the number one, if you're seeing the number one, God could be possibly telling you that it could be coming from a place of you're overwhelmed, and God is saying basically one step at a time. So let's just give an example. Like, just say that, you have a house and there's so many different things for the upkeep of the house that need to be done. And you just like, I don't know where to start, and my funds might be limited. Where do I even start? God is just saying one step at a time. You may not be able to revamp the house all at once, but God is saying start with one issue at a time, and then God will release the funds one step at a time. So if you're looking at it as a whole, it can become overwhelming. Now, I use an example of a house, but you could use it for anything. Let's just say that, your health is failing in so many different ways, because, when one system in the body is off, it kind of knocks them all off. And so God is saying, and I feel the Holy Spirit, because there's somebody out there that's dealing with health issue. So God is saying that deal with whatever the one that God is telling you to deal with one. Maybe some things will come into your health will come into the right place if you start with healthy eating. Maybe it's okay, I'm just going to drink more water. That's one step. And then that one step is going to duplicate into other healthy habits. But God is just saying and maybe it's your career life, maybe because also in the dream, there was a name Milborn, and I think that was a play on words. There was the last name Milborn. And I think that, like I said, I think that was a play on words where God is saying that, it's like you've been grinding at the mill. It's like constant grinding and you're not getting anywhere. But in order to come out of that, I know a lot of people who, use manual labor, like that is their mainstay. But what happens when your body breaks down? You can't just use your body all the time. Even if you say you're, a dancer, and you just the bomb.com when it comes to dancing, but eventually you're gonna get older, so there's gotta be a branching off of something. And so God is saying start with one. So maybe there's one little side hustle that you could do, just start with one. Instead of thinking, oh, I gotta have, like, let's just use sewing as an example. Oh, I gotta make a whole line of accessories, the pocketbooks, the the belts, the earrings, the headbands, the this, the that. God is just saying, start with one thing. Maybe you start with hair bows, and that's your one product. And God is saying that He will bless that, and then it will duplicate and it will multiply. And once those hair bows start selling good, then now you're going to start with making, the headbands or whatever. I'm just making up examples. But God is saying that He would bless it. Also in the dream, it was like I was seeing examples of people, local people in my area who, for example, started with one little old bus, one little old school bus, and they had that one school bus for years, and then they got two, and then they got a whole fleet, but they started with one. And God is saying, some of you are putting the cart before the horse, and you have all these wonderful ideas that God has given you, but He's telling you to start with one. Don't go out there, get a loan for all this stuff, for a whole fleet of buses. Start with one. And then that way you don't have to, I'm not saying never, ever, ever, ever get a loan, but then that way you don't have to go into debt, you know. Even, college, it could be that, you're looking at college, but you're looking at, oh my goodness, it's going to take me $50,000 for one semester. God is saying start with one, okay? Maybe you're not taking a full, going full time. Maybe you're going one class at a time, two classes at a time. And side note here, maybe you should look at a different college that's not so expensive. But anyway, the number one, the number one. Also within the dream, there was the number 4. I saw in the dream the number 4. Although this is about the power one, I saw the number 4. But the one, God does multiplication like nobody, or mathematics like no one else. That if you start with 1, it will eventually equal 4. And what I mean by that, the number 4 in this case means that you will go to the 4 corners of the world, meaning that your business will prosper to the point where it will it will spread out. It is 4 is in some capacities. Remember, this is not an exhaustive list. 4 in some capacity means to go throughout the world. Okay. So this is a strategy and also a encouragement for those, okay? Those who feel overwhelmed and those who have ideas for different things that they want to implement, but they don't know where to start. They don't know where to begin. And God is just saying, just start somewhere and start with one. Wherever you feel led to start, just start. Also, to bring it back to the Bible, this is what God did in Genesis. He started with one. He made one man, and he could have made millions of people all at once if he chose to do so. But he started with one. He started with Adam, and then inside Adam was Eve, and then the two of them produced and populated. And so he started with one and ended up with the meaning of number 4, which is to go throughout the world. So he started with one person, and now we have people everywhere, in the 4 corners of the earth. And so this is what the number 1 means in this capacity. So I hope this blessed you guys. And also, I just want to quickly just recap about the health again. God is saying start with one. Start with one issue. I don't know what the issue is. Maybe it's the high blood pressure. You want to tackle that. But you also got diabetes, and you got this and you got that. God is saying start with one issue at a time. Just start with one issue. And then the healing will go all throughout. Will the one issue that you deal with will equal 4, and it will go, and your whole body will be restored. So you have to, but with that, you have to be persistent. You can't just be like, I drunk water for a whole week and nothing didn't happen. Nothing happened. You have to be consistent and persistent. And once you got the one thing down, now it's time to lean on the Holy Spirit and find out what is the second thing that I do. And then God will do his thing as he always does, and he will do that multiplication thing in your life, and you will see that the benefits will be multiplied, because you're going to bring your natural to his supernatural. Okay. And so I always forget to say this, guys, but God has told me before I need to say it. Like, share, subscribe, yeah. And I love you until we meet again.